One eerie tale from the Black Swan Inn involves a ghostly figure known as the Woman in White. Guests have reported seeing her wandering the halls late at night, dressed in a flowing white gown. Some say she appears at the foot of their beds, her face a mix of sadness and longing. Legend has it that she is the spirit of a woman who lost her husband in the Battle of Salado Creek. Heartbroken, she roams the grounds searching for him, forever trapped between worlds. Guests have claimed to hear soft weeping and even the sounds of a child's laughter, echoing through the corridors, adding to the unsettling atmosphere. One night, a couple staying at the inn decided to explore the haunted spots. They set up a camera in one of the rooms known for paranormal activity. When they reviewed the footage the next day, they were stunned to find a misty figure hovering in the corner, with a faint outline resembling a woman in white. They later learned that the same room had been reported to have an unusually cold spot, even in the warmest months. The combination of the inn's history and the stories of restless spirits make it a place where the past feels very much alive, creating a chilling experience for anyone brave enough to stay the night. The couple, intrigued by the ghostly figure captured on their camera, decided to dig deeper into the history of the Black Swan Inn. They spoke with the innkeeper, an elderly woman who had lived there for decades. Her eyes widened when they recounted their experience. "Oh, you've seen her," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "Many have, but few are brave enough to seek her out." The innkeeper recounted how, on stormy nights, the sound of a woman weeping would fill the air, echoing through the empty hallways. Some guests reported feeling a sudden chill, as if someone had walked through them. Others swore they could hear whispers, calling them to the inn's old garden, where the battle had once raged. Intrigued, the couple decided to investigate the garden that very night. Armed with flashlights and a sense of adventure, they made their way outside, the moonlight casting eerie shadows among the trees. As they stepped into the garden, a strange stillness enveloped them, the air thick with tension. Suddenly, the wind picked up, rustling the leaves and carrying with it a faint whisper that seemed to call their names. Heart pounding, they exchanged nervous glances but pressed on, drawn toward the old stone fountain at the center of the garden. As they approached, they noticed something unusual: a small, weathered locket half buried in the dirt beside the fountain. It gleamed in the moonlight, and instinctively, one of them reached down to pick it up. As their fingers brushed against the cool metal, the temperature around them plummeted, and the air grew heavy with an unseen presence. At that moment, a soft sob echoed through the garden, and the couple froze, realizing they were no longer alone. A figure began to materialize in the mist, her white dress flowing around her like a spectral wave. The woman in white stood before them, her eyes filled with an indescribable sadness. "What do you seek?" she whispered, her voice barely audible above the rustling leaves. The couple exchanged uncertain glances, knowing they were at the threshold of something profound and unsettling. They felt an overwhelming urge to understand her story, to uncover the truth behind her sorrow. But before they could respond, the ground beneath them began to tremble, and the whispers grew louder, drowning out everything else. Suddenly, the garden transformed around them, shadows shifting into the shapes of soldiers and echoes of battle ringing in their ears. The couple realized they were witnessing a moment from the past, a spectral reenactment of the fateful battle that had claimed so many lives. As chaos unfolded before their eyes, the woman in white reached out toward them, her expression shifting from sorrow to urgency. The air crackled with energy, and just as they began to understand the connection, the vision abruptly faded, leaving them alone once more in the darkened garden, hearts racing and minds swirling with questions. The locket still clutched in their hand. They knew they had only scratched the surface of a deeper mystery that bound them to the inn and to the tragic history of the woman in white. As they stood there, the moonlight illuminating the garden, they felt a sense of purpose rising within them. What they had discovered was only the beginning of a haunting journey into the past. Don't forget to subscribe and like if you liked this story. The couple, still shaken by the vision, exchanged glances filled with a mix of fear and excitement. They realized that the locket they found was more than just a piece of jewelry. It was a link to the past, perhaps even a clue to the woman in white's story. Determined to uncover its secrets, they returned to their room, the locket safely tucked away. They decided to research the history of the Black Swan Inn and the Battle of Salado Creek, hoping to find any mention of the woman and her lost love. The next day, they visited the local library, poring over dusty old books and yellowed newspaper clippings. They discovered that the battle had been fierce, with many soldiers losing their lives on that very ground. Among them was a young captain, revered by his men, who had fallen during a desperate charge. Rumor had it that he had a beloved waiting for him back home, a woman whose heart was forever intertwined with his fate. As they delved deeper into the records, they stumbled upon an article detailing a woman's search for her missing fiancé after the battle. The more they read, the more they felt an uncanny connection to the woman in white. The article described her despair as she wandered the battlefield, calling out for him, her cries lost to the wind. Just as they were about to leave the library, a particular name caught their eye: Isabella. The couple looked at each other, sensing that this could be the key they were looking for. They quickly took notes and made a plan to return to the inn and investigate further. That evening, with the locket in hand and a renewed sense of purpose, they decided to return to the garden. As they stepped outside, the air was thick with anticipation, and the moon hung low in the sky, casting a silvery glow. Standing by the fountain, they called out, "Isabella, we're here to help you." Their voices echoed in the stillness, and for a moment, nothing happened. Then, a gentle breeze stirred the air, and they felt the familiar chill that signaled her presence. "Isabella, we know your name," one of them said, feeling emboldened. "We found your story. We want to understand." Suddenly, the locket in their hands grew cold, and the whispers returned, swirling around them like a tempest. The woman in white appeared once more, her eyes locking onto theirs with an intensity that sent shivers down their spines. "Help me find him," she implored, her voice a haunting melody that resonated in their hearts. The couple nodded, understanding that they were now part of a quest that transcended time, a chance to reunite a lost soul with her beloved. But as they prepared to uncover the truth, the air crackled with a sense of foreboding. They could feel the weight of history pressing down on them, and they knew that the journey ahead would not be without its challenges. Just then, the ground beneath them shook once more, and shadows began to dance at the edge of their vision. They realized that the spirits of the battlefield were awakening, stirred by the locket's presence and their determination to help Isabella. In that moment, they knew they had to act quickly. The connection was fragile, and they could feel time slipping away. With newfound resolve, they stepped forward, determined to unlock the mysteries that bound the living to the dead. But as they began their search for the captain's identity and what had happened to him after the battle, they felt a chilling presence lurking nearby, something ancient and restless, watching their every move. The couple was about to uncover not just Isabella's story, but the darker truths hidden within the shadows of the inn and the land itself. The couple stood at the fountain, the night thick with tension and the whispers intensifying around them. They could feel the weight of unseen eyes upon them, and the urgency of Isabella's plea echoed in their minds. They knew they had to learn more about the captain and his fate, but a sense of dread crept into their hearts. "Let's start with the battle records," one of them suggested, recalling the mention of the soldiers who fought and fell at Salado Creek. They turned back toward the inn, their footsteps quickening as they made their way to the library's local history section, hoping to find more clues. As they delved into the records, they stumbled upon an old ledger detailing the names of the soldiers who fought and their fates. Their eyes scanned the pages, and finally, they found it: Captain Thomas Everly. The entry revealed that he had been buried in a small cemetery not far from the inn, his grave marked by a simple stone. "Maybe he's still there," one of them murmured, a mix of hope and fear swirling in their chest. "We should go to the cemetery." That evening, they ventured out to the cemetery under the light of a full moon. The air was thick with anticipation, the rustle of leaves the only sound accompanying their footsteps. The graves were old and weathered, many of them leaning at odd angles, but they quickly found Captain Everly's grave, the stone half hidden by overgrown grass. As they stood before the grave, a sense of reverence washed over them. "Isabella, we're here," they called softly, placing the locket on the ground beside the stone. "We found him." In that moment, a sudden breeze swept through the cemetery, and the air crackled with energy. They could feel Isabella's presence again, stronger this time, as if she was guiding them. The shadows around them flickered, and the whispers transformed into a chorus of voices, both comforting and urgent. As they knelt beside the grave, a mist began to rise from the ground, swirling around them. The couple exchanged glances, their hearts racing, as they realized they were witnessing something extraordinary. Isabella materialized from the mist, her face serene yet filled with longing. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice breaking the silence like a fragile note. "I can feel him, so close." But before they could respond, the atmosphere shifted. The whispers grew louder, morphing into anguished cries, echoing the battle that had once taken place. The ground trembled beneath them, and a dark shadow emerged from the mist, a figure clad in tattered military garb, eyes hollow and lost. "Who disturbs my rest?" the figure roared, his voice a mix of anger and confusion. As he stepped closer to them, an echo of Captain Everly but twisted by grief and rage. The couple instinctively backed away, the air thick with tension. "We're here to help," they called out, desperation in their voices. "We want to reunite you with Isabella." The captain's gaze flickered between the couple and the ethereal figure of Isabella, his expression softening for just a moment. "Isabella?" he murmured, his voice barely a whisper. "I thought I lost you forever." But the shadows around him grew restless, whispering dark secrets and regrets, pulling at him like a tide. "You do not belong here," the shadowed figure growled, rage boiling within him. "You cannot bring her back." As the confrontation escalated, Isabella reached out toward the captain, her form glowing with an otherworldly light. "Thomas, please," she cried. "You must let go of your anger. We can be together again. But you have to free yourself from this torment." The shadows writhed, and the couple felt the overwhelming presence of the spirits of the battlefield closing in around them, their sorrow and pain palpable. They realized they had to find a way to break the cycle of grief that bound Thomas to this world. With a surge of courage, they stepped forward, standing between Isabella and the captain. "You're not alone anymore," they said firmly, their voices steady despite the chaos. "You both deserve peace. Let us help you find it." But just as they began to feel the connection strengthen, the shadows surged forward, threatening to engulf them all in darkness. The couple had one last chance to reach the captain before the shadows swallowed them whole. With their hearts racing, they took a deep breath and spoke with every ounce of conviction they could muster. "Your love can break this curse," they shouted, as the winds howled around them. "You must choose to let go." The struggle intensified, the ground shaking beneath them, as the light from Isabella clashed with the dark energy swirling around Thomas. The couple held their breath, knowing that the next moment could change everything for the spirits, for themselves, and for the history of the Black Swan Inn. The clash of light and shadow reverberated through the cemetery, a tumultuous battle between hope and despair. The couple could feel the weight of centuries pressing in on them, the anguish of countless souls who had fought and suffered on this ground. Isabella's glow pulsed with determination as she reached out toward Thomas, her voice breaking through the chaos. "Thomas, remember our love. It was stronger than any battle. Don't let the darkness consume you." For a moment, Thomas hesitated, caught between the pull of the shadows and the radiance of Isabella. The shadows around him writhed angrily, whispering doubts and fears, trying to drown out her words. "What have I become?" he murmured, anguish etched across his face. "I failed you. I couldn't save you." "No," Isabella cried, her voice resonating with conviction. "You did everything you could. You are not defined by this battle. You are defined by your love for me." The couple stood resolute, feeling the energy of the moment shifting. They locked eyes with each other, sharing a silent understanding of the importance of their mission. They knew they had to push forward, to bridge the gap between the two souls trapped in their own sorrow. With renewed determination, they called out again, "You both have the power to choose. Let your love guide you. Together you can find peace." As their voices echoed, the shadows shrieked in protest, swirling around them like a violent storm. But the light from Isabella began to break through, illuminating the dark tendrils that had ensnared Thomas. The more they focused on their words, the more the darkness began to recede, revealing glimpses of the man he once was. "Isabella," Thomas whispered, his voice cracking. "I'm so lost." "You're not lost. I'm here. We're here." Isabella's presence intensified, a beacon of light in the tumult. "You can find your way back to me." Slowly, the shadows started to loosen their grip, and the winds shifted. Thomas took a step forward, his eyes locking onto Isabella's. The connection between them shimmered, a delicate thread of love that stretched across time and pain. In that moment, the couple felt a surge of warmth enveloping them, an energy that spoke of reconciliation and healing. It was as if the very air around them was whispering encouragement, urging Thomas to embrace the light. But just as it seemed they were on the verge of a breakthrough, the dark figure roared with fury, a desperate attempt to maintain its hold. "You will not take him from me," it howled, the shadows swirling violently. The couple instinctively moved closer together, drawing strength from one another. They reached out, their hands clasping tightly as they directed their focus toward Isabella and Thomas. "You both belong to each other," they shouted, their voices harmonizing. "Let go of the pain. Choose love." The power of their declaration resonated through the cemetery, the air crackling with energy. The light from Isabella grew brighter, almost blinding, as it pushed against the shadows. The couple felt the intensity of the moment, as if the universe itself was holding its breath. In a final, desperate act, Thomas closed his eyes, letting the light wash over him. "Isabella," he breathed, tears glistening in his eyes. "I choose you." With those words, the shadows began to dissolve, their anguished cries fading into whispers. The darkness that had held Thomas captive started to lift, revealing his true form beneath. As he stepped forward, the connection between him and Isabella grew stronger, a radiant bond that transcended the pain of the past. The couple watched in awe as the swirling shadows finally dissipated, the cemetery bathed in an ethereal glow. Thomas reached out, taking Isabella's hands in his, their love illuminating the night like a beacon of hope. Yet, as they embraced, a new presence emerged, a heavy, ancient force that seemed to seep from the very ground itself, threatening to pull them back into the depths of sorrow. The couple could sense it lurking just beyond the edges of their newfound peace, a reminder of the pain that still lingered in the land. "Stay strong," the couple urged, their voices unwavering. "You're free now. Don't let it take you back." As they focused on the bond of love between Thomas and Isabella, the ground trembled once more, but this time it felt different, more like a final farewell than a threat. The couple could feel the energy shifting, the air thickening with a sense of release. With one last look, Thomas and Isabella shared a moment of understanding that transcended words, an unbreakable connection forged through love and sacrifice. The couple could only watch as they began to dissolve into a shower of shimmering light, their figures intertwining until they were no longer separate. But even as they ascended, the couple felt the ground shift beneath them, and the weight of the ancient presence loomed larger, its shadows still whispering their dark secrets. They knew the journey was far from over, and that the land still held its own sorrow's secrets waiting to be unveiled. The couple braced themselves, determined to uncover the truth behind the lingering shadows and to honor the love story they had just witnessed. With the memory of Thomas and Isabella guiding them, they knew they had to face whatever came next, ready to confront the darkness that still haunted the Black Swan Inn. As the last remnants of Thomas and Isabella's light faded into the night, the couple felt a surge of determination. They realized that to truly honor the spirits and bring peace to the inn, they needed to confront the lingering darkness that threatened the land. They returned to the inn, armed with the knowledge they had gathered. In the parlor, they shared their experience with the innkeeper, who listened intently, her eyes filled with understanding. She revealed that the land had long been haunted by the pain of war and loss, and that many souls still sought solace. Together, they organized a small ceremony, inviting guests and locals to join. Under the moonlight, they gathered near the fountain, where they shared stories of love, sacrifice, and healing. As they lit candles, they called upon the spirits of those who had suffered, inviting them to find peace and release. As the last candle flickered, a warm breeze swept through the garden, carrying with it a sense of tranquility. The couple felt a shift in the atmosphere, as if the land itself was sighing with relief. From that night on, the inn transformed. The whispers of the past became gentle echoes, and the once haunted hallways filled with a sense of calm. The stories of Thomas and Isabella became legends shared among guests, reminding everyone of the enduring power of love and the importance of healing old wounds. The couple knew their journey had made a difference. They had not only helped two lost souls find each other, but had also begun to heal the scars of the land itself, leaving the Black Swan in a place where history and hope intertwined beautifully. Don't forget to subscribe and like if you liked this story.